Hey, who are you guys going to sentence to their death this week? When I close my eyes, I can still see him sitting in that chair. Tears are streaming down his face. All he kept saying is, I can't go back. I can't go back. The summer of 1986, I was working in loss prevention, corporate security in upstate New York, where I'm from. One particular afternoon, my colleague and I were sitting on the catwalk on milk crates, looking out through those darkened out windows you still see in a lot of stores. We observed a gentleman come through the entrance. He walked over to the cigarette racks. Now, some of you might remember cigarettes used to be sold right at the cash register. You could just grab them yourself. This gentleman grabbed 2 packs, went down the produce aisle, came up aisle 2, nothing in his hands. Passed through the registers and out the exit. My colleague and I ran downstairs. We caught him just outside the store. We approached him, identified ourselves, and we said, where are the cigarettes? He said, I don't have anything. Then he tried to take off from us. We caught him, brought him back inside. Normally, if somebody had taken that small of an item, we would have just had him fill out our paperwork and we would have banned him from the store. But since he gave us a hard time, tried to take off, called the police. While we were filling out his paperwork, he was sitting in the chair and he started crying. He kept saying, I can't go back. I can't go back. We said, go back where? He said to jail. He had just gotten out a couple days before. We said, well, you shouldn't have given us a hard time and tried to take off. It's too late. We already called. When the police arrived, we informed them of what happened. They took him into custody, and that was it. We went back to work, and we finished our shift. The next morning, I was driving home. I had the radio on. Before satellite, all we had was our AM, FM, and there were constant news breaks. All of a sudden, the reporter came on and said that a prisoner had taken their own life the night before in lockup. Right there, I thought my heart was going to come out of my chest. I had the sickest feeling in my stomach. Even before I heard the name, I knew it was him. I don't remember the rest of the ride home. All I do remember is I had to get home and give my colleague a call to make sure he heard the news. Before a cell phone, so that ride home felt like an eternity. When I got home, ran into the house, called him. As soon as he picked up, all I said was, did you hear the news? He said, yeah. That was it. We really didn't say anything after that. I said, okay, I'll see you this afternoon. We both had to work later that day. When we got to work, we saw each other, said hello, but that was it. We really didn't speak. We were trying to process what had happened. I can remember that afternoon sitting back on the catwalk on those milk crates and hear a few guys headed to the break room yell out to us, hey, who are you guys going to sentence to their death this week? The rest of the week was quiet. We weren't saying much, but we were getting our job done. I remember during those weeks, our boss had to bring us to see someone. I don't remember if he was from corrections, parole, probation. I do remember the first thing he told us was, this is not your fault. Telling a 21 and a 22-year-old that they're not responsible for someone who made the decision to take their own life because of a decision we had made, that's a lot easier said than done. After that day, we just never even discussed it again. I thought if I just buried away, it would just go away on its own, but over the years, periodically, it would pop up. I'd think about it for a few days, and then I'd bury it away again, instead of just asking for someone to help me. Fast forward a few decades, 8 years ago, I was going through a horrible breakup with my ex-wife. I was trying to take care of my 2 sons who were 8 and 12 at the time. I was driving to Orlando from Bellevue every day, then trying to get home on time for my sons. Then we got hit with the pandemic, and I felt all this added extra pressure. And all my family and friends were back home in New York, and I just really felt so alone. One day I had to go and pick up my sons from their mother. I got into my vehicle, and I froze behind the wheel. I couldn't manage to press that stupid start button. I had the most overwhelming feeling of panic, and I just couldn't move from that spot. I started to cry. I was having a mental health crisis, a breakdown. I took a few deep breaths, and that 13-minute drive to go and pick up my sons felt like hours to get there. And then once I got there, I had to get them home and act like everything was okay, and it wasn't. Your kids look up to you for answers, for guidance, for support. I couldn't even take care of myself. After letting all this build up inside me, not one time did I ever think to myself, I should really be taking care of everything that's happened to me in my life, but I felt like I couldn't. I don't have time. My sons have to come first. And my mind felt like it was going to explode. That was my sign to reach out and say, help me. Why is it so hard to say two of the simplest words in the English language that when you put them together, it's one of the most powerful statements you can say to someone? Help me. I knew how to say it, I just didn't. Who wants to deal with something that caused them heartache or relive a traumatic event? I didn't. But this is something that turned out to be life-changing for me. The hardest lessons we learn in life are the ones we never want to face. And my life changed the moment I asked for help and faced my past. All because I took the time and I used those two words. Help me. I began to work with the most amazing therapist who gave me so much perspective on what I was dealing with, what I could control in my life and what I couldn't. I also needed to learn to start setting boundaries, which I hadn't even done before. I didn't even know what they really even were. But once I did, I finally felt like I was taking back control of my life. And that was an incredible feeling. What I also learned is when you ask for help, is things started coming back from my past. Things started haunting me again. Things I never spoke about publicly before, like the gentleman that took his life. After finally dealing with this trauma that had been tucked away for so long and would pop up occasionally just to let me know it's still there, was that it wasn't my fault. I didn't force somebody to take something, and I didn't make a decision for this man to take his own life. He did that, not me. For years, I had felt the burden of unsubstantiated guilt, and it wasn't mine to carry. I started thinking about all the times that everything that I've gone through since I asked for help. For one thing, I caused myself so much pain for not going out and getting the proper help that I needed. What I also learned is when you don't ask for help and getting that help you need, is that it starts affecting people around you, both personally and professionally. We've all heard people use the term about being our authentic selves. I wasn't being my authentic self. I put up a wall. I wouldn't let people in. You can wind up taking your trauma and pushing it around those people around you, whether you mean for it or not. You can also wind up pushing people away and holding them accountable for something they had nothing to do with. What I also learned in getting help is that all these positive changes started happening in my life. Things that I never knew were out there for me before. If I hadn't taken that first step to ask for help, I'd never know who I'm meant to be or the person that I'm becoming. Those two words opened the door to therapy. Therapy opened the door to coaching. Coaching opened the door to Toastmasters. Toastmasters opened the door for me being right here, right now on the TEDx stage. So where does your journey begin? How come you haven't asked for help? According to the Harvard Business Review, one of the most difficult things we can do in life is to ask for help. Is it fear of being a burden, pride, fear of rejection? Is the perceived stigma around mental health and vulnerability? Or is it simply because we just don't know where to turn? Suffering in silence doesn't strengthen you. It damages you to your core, both physically and mentally. Being vulnerable, it is my greatest strength. It has built trust. It has fueled my emotional intelligence. It has enhanced my communication. It has built my courage. True power is not in pretending you're unbreakable. True power is in showing you know how to rebuild your life. As you all leave here later today, you walk out those doors, I want you to think about the last time you asked for help. And if you didn't, what held you back? How far did it set you back? Those two simple but powerful words can make all the difference in the world for you. I'd like each of you to do something for me right now that I think would mean the world for you. Everybody, hold out your right hand like this, like you're reaching for mine. When I signal to you, I want you to say, help me, like you mean it, so I can hear it.
Help me.
Congratulations, you just took your first step to a better life.